Hello, everyone. It's Sharon Leid. Welcome to another edition of NetStruc Talks. Now, creating a successful business and able to sell it for profit, one, figuring out what this e-commerce thing is all about to benefit your business. Two, aligning yourself with subject matter experts is the only way to go. Join me as I talk with two amazing gentlemen who will answer these questions and more. Stay tuned. Welcome. And again, as I mentioned before, I have two amazing gentlemen here with me that is going to be talking about so many things, how to help your business to grow, how to, put your business in the e-commerce way, why it's so important. I mean, gentlemen, Damien, Curt, how are you? How you guys doing?
I'm awesome. The music got me going. I was sitting here. I was chair dancing, ready to take off, man.
I was about to say, did my audio go?
No. Way to show us up on Damon. We've got work to do on that.
I know.
Intro, man. Are you
The
kidding
intro is
me?
awesome.
Man, I have intro envy right now, Sharon.
Yes,
so, just saying.
Listen, I'm nowhere near you guys with your show and what you guys are laying out. So, but thank you so much. I can't take the credit. I got to give credit to my better half, my husband. So, he wanted something to put in place and that's what he did. And I was like, we're going to go with that.
It's awesome.
That is well. Hey,
well
done. Well done.
Thank you. So Damien, Curt, how, first of all, it's great seeing you guys again. The last time we spoke was earlier in May when I was a guest on your show. And we had so much fun. And I was like, I had so much fun. We got to do this again. So you got to come on my show.
Absolutely. Well, Sharon, first off, what an honor and privilege to connect with you. I'll tell you, you are just a magnetic personality. You have a contagious enthusiasm. And, you and I connected a couple years ago, during COVID and just, kind of distant friends, if you will. And we came together. You came on our program. Damon, man, that chat box was on fire, just Sharon got the crowd rolling. We had a lot of fun, a lot of engagement, a lot of great questions. And so Sharon, you're just such a blessing. So thank you for letting us be here with you today.
Well, thank you so much, guys. And you know what? It is a blessing because you don't come across some really true, authentic people online. And that's actually what happened with us. We met online, Curt, like what you meant. We met at a network Christmas mixer, which we were like, how is this going to turn out? And it turned out amazing. And then you brought me on the show with you and Damon. And it's like, I'm like, you guys are amazing. You guys are amazing. And then looking at your bio and the work that you're doing with businesses, it's things that I didn't think about with my business in terms of e-commerce, didn't think about, setting up my business in terms of selling it and making sure it's a profit. I mean, this is what you guys do. And crazy enough, these are the type of conversations that I have with my network in terms of, I want to get a business. I want to put a business together but I just don't know how to sell it. And Damien, that's your forte. And then the e-commerce, listen, I'll be honest with you. I have no clue what to do with e-commerce, but I know that's something I need. So guys, talk to me, Damien, let's talk first in terms of, you're putting a business together, how you help businesses put successful businesses together and then able to sell it at a profit. I mean, how does that work?
Well, it starts with a good business because a lot of people have great businesses and it just takes some tweaks. But, the work that Curt and I do together, really, when you look at e-commerce or other ways to grow your sales, it's really about getting the value of the business where the owner wants it or needs it to be. Because oftentimes we work in our businesses and it provides us a good living. And when you get wherever it is in your life, and honestly, a lot of our clients are in their 40s and 50s, they just decide that, listen, if I can make enough from the sale of my business, I can do my what's next. whatever that
Mm-hmm.
is.
Right.
And really, as a business owner, you have a way to generate wealth, and you can use it like that if you do it right. And the reason why it's so critical for people like Curt and I to work together, because growing that value and making it very attractive to the next owner is what we do prior to selling a businesses. And that's really as simple as it is. If you need X dollars from your business, we have to get it to that value, prepare it
Mm-hmm.
for to make it look good for that owner, and then get it sold. And Curt knows this. Curt's been through the sale of a business before. It's a lot harder than people may first think until they've done it.
Right.
And so that's what we get to do, and we love it. We get to work with manufacturing and e-commerce companies, and that's where Curt and I, we just love it with all the people we can help there, and it's a lot of fun.
So how do you connect with them? How do you connect with manufacturing companies and you know, and convince them that, one, because sometimes when people go in business, they feel that, you know, they're so in it so deep that there's nothing else to do. You know, how do you, is there some convincing at that point, or, you know, what are some steps?
You mean for me personally in our company, or
Yeah.
both of us?
Well, I
You
mean,
know,
both of you, both of you. I
yeah.
mean, you know, I'm pretty sure in terms of, you know, I like let's say for instance with my business, you know, I know I'm doing great, but yeah, there is that next step. But you know, do I really want to let go of, you know, of my business, or, you know, there I know there has to be some type of convincing in a good way, I should say.
Yeah, I'll chime in, Damon, but then I would
There
love
you
for
go.
you to, that's your expertise, but I'll share this, Sharon, a couple things real quick. So you mentioned, we connected through networking. And so though you and I were at a networking event, what I did, I immediately signed up for your newsletter,
Mhm.
and I just love your messaging. I love you. And again, like when you meet you in person, did that make sense, Damon? When
It
somebody
did.
meets
Yeah.
Sharon in person, just what you exude in your email is just exact same thing. And you just use the word like building that trust, network,
Mhm.
and align
Yeah.
yourself with subject matter experts. And being an entrepreneur it's lonely. You're in a silo, Damon. We probably mention that every episode, right?
Yes.
And there's no reason to feel like you're alone. But Sharon, just at a distance, just I'd get your message. I would get your message. I'm like, man, I need to connect with this person. She just radiates expertise, trust, and enthusiasm that I want to be a part of. And you and I came together and became fast friends. So again, that's why it's so important for anybody, your audience out there, to get that message out there. Stop being the best kept secret and share. Everybody has a God-given talent or a superpower, if you will. I know that's a cliche these days, but everybody has that talent. Boy, put it out there, and you do an amazing job. And that's how we've come together here. And Damon, that's how you and I came together. Just
Yeah.
pure. This is pure LinkedIn right here. This is a
Mhm.
LinkedIn friendship that we've all created. And then I'll share this. And Damon, I'd love for you to chime in on selling a business. Boy, it's your baby. I know you're an awesome mom. I don't know if people are going to see this or if they're on audio, but if they, you've got your beautiful family right over your shoulder, and
Mhm.
mommy loves me. I love your background, man. Look at
Thank
my
you.
background compared to she has like that awesome intro. She's got this great background.
Yeah.
Man, I've got work to do, Damon. But when you look at your business, your business is your baby, it's your child, and you treat it like this. And I had the honor, privilege. I built up a business, and that's why I don't have any hair left. It's just very stressful. You're on your own, and I was very blessed, very fortunate. I had an amazing, incredible person on my team. She became my partner and ended up buying the business. And boy, I thank my blessings to her every day. A lot of
Mhm.
people don't have that luxury or that blessing. And one thing that I learned, and Damon, I know we talk about this frequently. So often you treat your business like your baby, and it's such an emotional attachment. You feel like somebody owes you something. Unfortunately, nobody owes you anything. And your business is not worth a penny more than what somebody across the table is willing to pay you for. Think about
Oh,
that. Your
that's
business is
true.
as worth as the person across the table is willing to pay you for. So if you have a job, like if you bought yourself a job and you have your business, and it's like, hey, Curt Anderson Incorporated, and I'm the business, boy, I can only take it so far. Would I encourage people, like, turn it into a business, a sellable system, a process that somebody else wants to buy? Because man, why put in all that time and energy and just have it vanish? And Damon, I know 80% of businesses don't sell. That's where you come in.
Yes.
Talk a little bit
Yeah.
about from your experience.
Well, and it's a great intro there, Curt, because you really have to create a business that someone else wants to buy and that someone else that has value when you leave, right? And it's something that we struggle with, and a lot of solopreneurs struggle with in their business, or small, even legal firms, accounting firms, smaller manufacturing firms, because if that owner has key technical knowledge, key sales skills that no one else has, it makes it much harder to sell. And you really have to get a business, as Curt said, that has systems and can run on its own to a certain point, for the size appropriate for the size, and really prepare it so that someone else wants it. Even if it is a job, if it's a great job, you can sell a business, but it can't be a job that you're going to kill yourself in, because no one wants to buy that, right? I mean, it doesn't matter if you've chosen that path and you want to work 120 hours a week on your business. Not many people are going to want to do that. So you're probably not going to get to sell it. You make them good and profitable and even fun. That's where you really can and make it happen. And as your businesses get larger, you really can talk about, how much money do I need to set myself for whatever I want to do next? And this is where it really gets fun, because as a business owner, you can say, listen, if I had X million dollars, that means I do whatever the heck I want after this. And my business is here and I go to here and I'm there.
Right.
Well, if you can bridge that gap, that's life changing. And that's where we love to play with our clients and really help them do that, because there is, for them, for us, for the buyers of the business, there is nothing like that, because we turn a thriving business over to the buyer, so they can take it to the next level, and that owner gets to walk away and do what they really want to do with the proceeds. I mean, and we've been able to. I mean, there's time, and this is not investors that we're giving money to. I used to do that in private equity owned businesses when we did that, but it's really something to be able to help people do that.
And you said life changing, which you're right. I mean, you're working a business, and I guess also the look. You know how you are actually working this business. So if you're tired all the time, that means you're really not running the system right. So what I'm looking at is that when you come into somebody who is interested, but they're tired, they're not running it right, you actually get them on the right track. So now this business looks presentable. It looks marketable. Am I right? Am I on the right page with this? So you guys
this guy right here knows how to do that.
This guy right there, in the Brady Bunch box. He's in mine. You're at the bottom, Curt. So, is that what you do? You actually help them look marketable online or actually in person, to show that, hey, this is the business you want to buy, because the owner here is loving it. He's making a lot of money. He or she is making a lot of money. She's loving what they're loving what they're doing. But this was not the case when they first came to you. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's
in some cases.
Yeah, I love that, Sharon. And so, there was a phenomenal book that came out in the 90s. It was called E-Myth. It was like, Small Business Bible, came out in the mid 90s, E-Myth, and just a phenomenal, fantastic book. And it just talks about, like, that practitioner, the subject matter expert, could be service, whether you're the plumber, I think in that book, they use an example of like a woman who was baking, right?
Baker. Yeah.
And, and Damon, how many solopreneurs do we work with? They're working 24/7, throwing on different hats. Well, they just, again, you bought yourself a job. You don't have a process or a system or a sellable business that somebody's going to want to really acquire. And it's really challenging. It's daunting. We just interviewed our dear friend, Ron Higgs, and Ron Higgs is practicing a great, he's advising on a great practice called predictable success. And it's how do you help companies make that transition from that, the practitioner, the plumber, the subject matter expert, could be, if you're a consultant out there, whatever, Damon, you just mentioned an accountant, attorney, whatever. How can I convert it into a sellable system? That was very, very difficult for myself as an entrepreneur. We're like, I'm going to do everything. You're younger, you have the ego, and you're like, you're going to tackle everything. When I finally made the transition, we're like, I don't think anybody even knew that I was part of this business. And I sat there, I'm like, and that's where all of a sudden success starts to come in, because now you have processes.
Yeah.
Now it's not you're relying on you, but it's your system and your process. So Damon, go ahead, Sharon.
Oh my God, you said it. You hit it on the nose.
Mhm.
That was me a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Until I realized I needed the system in place.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing everything.
Yeah.
I literally I was doing everything, and it started putting a toll on me. And it wasn't until my coach sat down and she spoke with me and she said, Sharon, what
Mhm.
systems do you have in place? Now that was a light bulb, because I was like, what are you talking about system? I had no clue.
Yeah.
So, at that point, I'm pretty sure, what you're talking about, Curt, is that so many people don't realize it. And professions that is pretty much like an entrepreneur, but it's a solopreneur. So the attorney, the hairdresser, the barber, these are people that actually don't see themselves going into that type of world, because that's what everybody knows them as, is that solopreneur, that you can't grow, you can't make this out to something and then sell it and then go to the next level. So you hit that system word, and I literally didn't cringe in a bad way, but cringe like in a woosah way. Like, that was so the key to me with my business.
And you know
Yeah.
what the key is? I'll just chime in real quick, Damon. The key right there, what you just said, Sharon, what I really admire, you had the humility and the wherewithal to kind of raise your hand, not necessarily throw in the towel, but to raise your hand and say, you know what, I need help. And listen to what Sharon just said. I turned to my coach.
Mm-hmm.
Turn to my coach. What great humility on your part to, have a coach, meaning that, boy, I'm not in this alone. I need some help to get over that hump and to identify, boy, when your business, if any entrepreneurs out there, if your business, if you're not having a little bit of fun, let alone you should be having an enormous amount of fun.
Right.
You want to talk to Sharon, you want to talk to a coach, you want to turn to
Yeah.
a Damon. And Damon, I'm eager to hear what you have to say. And I'm thinking about your client Kelly. I really think that we need to have a conversation about Kelly in this little chat here. But anyway, what do you think about this?
Well, I think these systems are so important. I mean, even as you talked about a hairdresser, right? And you talk about e-commerce. If I'm a hairdresser, and obviously I'm not, but if you look at it, if I'm a hairdresser, but I take a simple system that allows me for my clients to book online, that's a form of e-commerce. How much time does that save me from answering the phone, trying to schedule when I got an open appointment, blah, 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 blah. These are simple things for them to put in place. Then how about you can make it so they can pay online. So you do that at the time, there's so many little things you can do. Now I've allowed the systems to allow me to do more of my value added work during the day. And it also allows me, if I want to expand and have other people doing hair in my shop, I can add more people to it, and those systems just allow you to scale and grow your businesses as you want to. And it's all about the systems. And
Yeah.
and
I so agree. Let me ask you guys a question. Have you had any type of resistance from people to say, "Oh no, that's not me. I'm this way." And
no,
Curt.
Curt can talk to that one.
Yeah, and so Sharon, so as you mentioned in the early part of the program, so Damon and I, our target, you and I, we love talking about niching down, right? And so we stay in our lane, and obviously I don't deal with many hairdressers, but that's another story. But we work with a lot of manufacturers, and that's a lane that we work really well in. And those are the folks, we're not singers, but those are the songs that we sing. That's our crowd, that's our peeps, if you will. And so targeting manufacturers, a lot of them are, so their runway is a little bit further than the solopreneur. They've been around, maybe maybe they're second or third generation. A lot of them are Gen X. I think I'm a Gen Xer, or baby, for the baby boomers out there. And so Sharon, are they resistant to change? Absolutely.
Right.
Why? And it's completely justifiable. I've had this business for 30 years. I've been bending metal. I've been making circuit boards. I've been, whatever. I've sustained. I've gone through recessions, depression. I've gone through all sorts of economic challenges, 9/11, 2008. And I am very, probably won't admit it, and I'm sorry to say this word, but fearful or scared to change, because they have a system that works. They have created a scalable business because maybe they have 20, 30, 40 employees. Okay. So let's talk to the other entrepreneur, right? The entrepreneur that, maybe they're doing a few $1 million in sales, but boy, they're flat. or now they're kind of decreasing. And now they're really getting nervous because now they really need a guy like Damon, growth and exit strategy specialist. Because if I keep going like this, Damon, what's your line? They die at their desk, right?
Yeah.
Can you just share a little bit about the folks what's that look like?
Well, yeah. I mean, when you look at value of a business and someone that wants to exit ever, if the sales aren't growing, you've got a very low chance of selling, unless it's a huge business and you can do for liquidation price or something like that. But that growth is key, and understanding where my next piece of growth is going to come from. And when you talk about that, we have to get over this fear of change, because the other thing that obviously that Curt and I understand pretty well, being what Curt coined this phrase really well. We're digital what? We're analog natives,
we're
right?
digital immigrants. We are digital immigrants. Yeah. So if you're born before 1980, you are a digital immigrant. I remember my 8-track player, cassette players, rotary phone when you had
Yep.
right, David? So,
but the thing is, most people buying now, especially if you're going B2B buying, are digital natives. They want to buy e-commerce. They want to be able to research you a lot farther online now, and they want to be able to do that. And then even in some, if you're selling stuff to direct to the consumer, they better be able to buy it on a phone, or you're missing out a ton. And these kind of things are radical changes when you think about manufacturing, because manufacturers typically, they have salespeople that run around and talk to other clients, and I'll sell them like that. Or even a lot of, just think of toys and stuff. People were selling toys, big company, big box store.
Right.
That's what they did. And now that's direct. This has changed everything.
It changes everything. And it literally changes the world. It makes the world flat. So you're looking at someone who needs a service. They're way across the country, but you like their service. How do you deal with them? It's that e-commerce. You said in one of your questions that you wanted us to talk about is, why is e-commerce so important to a business? Is because when you're at that point and you want to grow, you don't want to be just a local business where, you come in. And I know a lot of mom and pop shops are like that, but to grow, everybody wants to grow. Everyone wants to grow. So this e-commerce is so important to any business. I don't care what you are doing, any business, just like what you mentioned with the hairdresser. My hairdresser and my makeup artist, I can't make an appointment with them unless I go online. And if they're booked, that's when I call them and I ask them, put me in. But that's their system in place. They went from the average of what the makeup artists and the hairdressers were doing years ago to now, go on my website, book me online. And, the change of that has been going more, and it's been growing and growing, but we still have those that are still kind of hesitant or just don't really understand it. So, when you come to those that don't understand it, don't understand e-commerce, don't understand that, hey, we can, this digital, your online footprint. As a publicist, I talk about that, your online footprint. So, I mean, Curt, you deal with manufacturers, you deal with people, that's been in business for 30, 40 years. How do you convince them that this is the way to go and you can't go back?
Yeah. I think, for, anybody that struggled, had challenges, lost loved ones during COVID, our thoughts, prayers with everybody. It's not been easy. However, from a business standpoint, I think for e-commerce, COVID was probably one of the best things that could have happened, because it just rose. So anybody that was resistant to e-commerce prior to the March of 2020, boy, their mindset changed immediately as soon as Damon just said, their sales reps couldn't go on the road. Trade shows were canceled. Now they're like, how do I sell my products? So I love the conversation here. So, obviously the hairdresser is a little funny one for me, but I'm my own. I have to make appointments with myself, Damon, for my hair. So on, whether your service sector, that plumber, that hairdresser, whatever, boy, the Calendly link, it can be that simple of just put out a Calendly link. We deal with manufacturers, like, believe it or not, we have a couple clients that I'm working with right now. They sell $250,000 to multi-million-dollar pieces of machinery, and they are now looking to put that product online in e-commerce. Not that somebody's necessarily going to pull out a credit card, hey, here's my Visa card, and I'm going to buy this $1 million piece of equipment, but they're now using Google ads, Damon, you'll love this, like even Google shopping ads, which those are those little ads that pop up with a picture and the price on it. And you'll see like $250,000 pieces of equipment on Google ads now. This is a total game changer. And I think, Sharon, to answer your question, it's I hate to say it's not a matter of if it's going to happen, when it's going to happen. And people now, even the most tech resistant folks that are still using their flip phones, are now understanding, I have to have an e-commerce presence. I'm going into it kicking and screaming. You call it like the Luddites is the word for, tech resistant. They just don't have a choice. They just don't have a choice to be viable.
No, you're right. You're right. I mean, I know so many solopreneurs that can transition from their, paper and pen and, hey, call me, let me write this down. Now, listen, I shouldn't knock that because I love to write. So I have my paper and pen, but I also have my e-commerce too. But, as you're talking, I'm thinking about the other businesses. I'm thinking about the other companies that, travel agent, you're going up against Expedia and everybody. And, and I know you're looking for that niche. I know you're looking for that uniqueness, which is amazing, and that personal connection. But, utilizing that e-commerce, utilizing that, growing your business to let people see that you're not still in the dark age, because that's how they're looking at you right now. They're looking at you as in the dark age. They're looking at you as if, okay, you don't have a team, you don't have a system. How is it that you're actually going to give me that personal connection if you have to constantly keep writing down a form and faxing it and sending it?
Yeah. Oh my God.
So
So
made our skin crawl, right?
Yeah.
Did I say the
F word? The F word.
F word, right? So, well, Damon, Sharon, here's a perfect example. So months ago, we had there's a dear friend of ours. She was a guest on our program. She's an author. She writes for Forbes. She is phenomenal. She's right near you. And her name is Elaine Polfield. And she wrote a book. Her first book was $1 million one-person business. $1 million one-person business. And I'll tell you, I should connect you to. She would be a phenomenal guest on your program.
Absolutely.
She's a LinkedIn influencer. She's just a woman of integrity. I can't speak enough about her. Her niche, she could write about anything business-wise. What she did is, exactly what you practicing what you preach. Niches down, focuses in her lane, networks like crazy, tens of thousands of followers on LinkedIn. She found a nice little niche of all these 7-figure businesses that had one owner, one employee on payroll. That was it, doing 7 figures. So that was her first book. Her book was phenomenal. Her and I connected years ago. We became fast friends. She came out with a second book. It's called Tiny Business, Big Money. Tiny Business, Big Money. And what she did was like, hey, maybe this company has 3, 4 employees, 5 employees. I had the honor, Damon and I were both in a book. She featured a client of mine, Damon. She featured a client of yours, and she actually dedicated like 4 or 5 pages to one of Damon's clients who's doing exactly this. His name's Kelly Cudworth, correct? He's in Seattle, and he does what? Office supplies. What is more ubiquitous than office supplies? He's going against, it's a gentleman, Kelly. He's going against Office Depot, Office Max, Staples, Walmart, Amazon, and he is absolutely crushing it. Damon, you've been an integral piece, part of the cog in that wheel. Talk a little bit about how Kelly has really scaled and like just crushed it on e-commerce.
Well, he's figured out, and the business is 50 years old. His father started it, and they were selling copiers and toner cartridges, years ago and then they started to sell them by driving around, right? And then they started selling the toner cartridges online, and then Kelly was talking with his dad, and he said, I think we really should try to sell on Amazon. And I had no idea about this, and obviously it was years ago with them, but office supply companies don't sell much on Amazon. If you go to many of your regional office supply places, you can't order online unless you're a client. So then you have to have the special login, blah, 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 blah. And he wanted to throw that out, and he wanted to say, listen, I want to go out and compete with everybody and see what we can do.
Right.
And he's been able to really turn this into a sizable business by understanding where he plays the best and then where he can really create value in the marketplace. And e-commerce allows you, and he sells nationally now. And it's like you said, he flattened the world. And yeah, there's going to be stuff that Office Depot or somebody can sell cheaper. But there are certain, and he understands that in bulk buy items and business to business things, he can be very competitive, and he focuses in where he can be competitive, and he makes a great living at it, great business. And
I'm sorry, David, and it's right in the book. So like not disclosing private, like his sale, like his sales were in the millions. He's gone into 8 figures. Like he's had a multiple increase thanks to e-commerce. And, and it was a situation where like, dad was, as I understand it, dad was a little bit like, hey, wait a minute, what's this? This is how we've done it. This is how we've always done it. But God bless dad that he was open-minded enough and embraced the next generation. Kelly is just a relentless entrepreneur. He's a visionary, and he's like, I'm going to take on these giants. Think about that. Staples, Office Max, and he's absolutely crushing it with e-commerce.
Absolutely. Yeah, because he made it as one. He's a small business, which a lot of people are now getting more in tune and more supporting small businesses. And 2, he found his niche. And he made himself marketable. These big companies don't make themselves marketable. They throw their money around just for advertisement, just so you can constantly keep seeing them. But it's like it's a warehouse at that point. It's a factory line. Just keep they don't see you as a customer. So I from what you're saying is it seems like he went up to competition with his big competitors, but he still kept his niche. He still kept his personal connection, but he made it on a large scale with e-commerce. So, the story of this is everybody needs to know that e-commerce is your friend. Am I right?
Yes.
Don't look at it as an enemy. Don't look at it as like, I don't want to deal with this. That's not my world. Listen, you have no choice at this point. If you want to continue growing.
Yeah, you just don't have a choice. You've got to go all in. I went to a ball game recently, and it was a couple families. We had our kids. We walk into a restaurant, no waiter, no waitress. No waiter, no waitress. You had to order at the table, So like, here's two digital immigrants, two dads in their 50s, and we're trying to figure out. So what do? We get the teenagers. They figure out how to order for us, right? So then we're going to a Major League Baseball game. We walk over to the stadium. No ticket office. You cannot buy a ticket. You cannot hand cash. You can't even walk into a window. And I'll tell you, and it was this year, and it was an eye-opening experience where now you can take an Uber. You could, I'm not even going to talk to a bartender or waitress or, there was no service provider. Just people showed up with food. It's like you hit the button, pull out your credit card, you're done. You go to the ball game. Usually I always enjoy, Damon, we've gone to ball games for years. You walk up to the window, we're older guys. Hey, how you doing? Where should I sit? Where are the best seats? Those days are gone. You have to go online, hit buttons, and you walk in, they scan it. It's like, this is a different world. So if you are, this is the now. This is reality. And if you're resistant to it, man, you're just putting yourself in a tough position.
That's true. That is so true. You know what, guys? I hate to say this, but we're coming to an end. I think I need to have you back on. But before we leave, when I was on your show, you guys had me cracking up about one of the most funniest things that you see you two as. And I'm dating myself. If anybody on here watched the Muppets, if you watch the Muppets, Damon and Curt have actually made themselves as the 2 guys. And I'm not going to say old because you guys don't look like those 2 old guys in the balcony, but that's how they see themselves as the 2 guys in the balcony on the Muppet Show. So just, as a closeout with laughter, please explain to us, why did you guys put you two together like that?
Wow.
So it's Curt. It was Curt. But it fits.
David, you know what's funny? So COVID hit March 16th or whatever. And funny story, Damon reaches out to me on LinkedIn. I'm like, man, the world's shutting down. What am I going to do? And I was working on a book. Okay. So for the book, each chapter I was putting out as a blog post. Damon reads one of the blog posts that I put out and sends like this really wonderful note. Hey, Curt, I see you're working manufacturers, e-commerce. Same here. Why don't we get together? I'm in New York. He's in Seattle. I'm like, we're 3,000 miles apart. Sure. We get on a call. And Damon, I remember it was, as a matter of fact, it was my wife's birthday. She comes home that night and I'm like, I hate to sound dumb, but I met this awesome dude today. And I'm like, I feel like we really had this weird connection. We've been best friends ever since.
Yeah.
My mother-in-law lives in Seattle and he and I got together. And so I was goofing around like, dude, I'm like, we're like the two old dudes on the Muppets in the balcony. And so I got T-shirts made. It's Statler and Waldorf are the two dudes in the balcony, and it says bromance. And so Damon and I were running around Seattle wearing our bromance old guy Muppet T-shirts in Seattle, and so we got pictures, and so that's our story there. But Sharon, we can wind down with this. I just want to extend our thanks and gratitude.
Thank you so much.
You are such a blessing. It is just, you make everybody around you better. It's just, I feel inspired by you. I love being our connection, our relationship, our friendship. Quick shout out. You're doing a webinar for us at Manufacturing Extension Partnership in Illinois. So Damon and I, we do a lot of webinars. We book a lot of speakers. And after Sharon spoke on our program, I was working with the program coordinator and I'm like, you got to check this one out. She caught a clip of your program. She's like, we're signing up, Sharon, and you're the first webinar, July 26th.
Yes.
And right before, I think you and your husband are going off for a anniversary vacation. And so
awesome.
No, and it's an honor. Like, when you reached out to me after the show and you told me that, I felt honored, and I felt I actually, was very taken back by it, because I said to myself, I was like, although, we have connected really great, this was something that, I know that you really do your research on and things like that. So I felt very honored and extremely humble when you reached out to me with this. So, back to you guys for just being an amazing people, for just helping out others. And the work that you guys are doing are amazing, just amazing. And I'm just really honored that you guys were able to be on my show and just give your expertise to why people need to use e-commerce. And I urge everyone to please reach out to Curt and Damon for their services. You will get all of their information in the box, in the chat box. But guys, listen, any last words before we go?
Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you.
God bless you. Thank you. Thank you to your audience for listening. And again, shout out to you and your family. Just it's just a blessing being in your world. So thank you for this time together. This has been awesome.
It's great. Thank you guys so much. And listen, everyone, please, when you get a chance, reach out to these guys. Like I said, you will not be sorry. And I'll see you at the next NetStruc Talks. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.